we go. Yeah. So if somebody were to say, what are you guys doing? Whatever, I'm calling the police, I'm calling whatever, I'm calling somebody who cares, then let them do that then. If you're performing one of these essential services, which we are, you're complying with that order, we're not doing anything that we're not supposed to be doing. That being said, like we talked about from the get-go, I don't know, with everything being so fluid, if that may or may not change. And I'm not telling anybody to do anything they're not comfortable doing or not wanting to do, but even if that does change and we do have to shut our office or do whatever to comply with whatever I don't think there's anything saying that we couldn't continue on showing a house, listing a house, doing whatever. I don't know that they're going to be able to mandate that we can stop that altogether. I mean, I guess it is possible. But we're all in this industry to make a living, to support ourselves, support our family, to, our life's ambitions. I do feel for a lot of the people that have been shuttered so far, the different businesses and things like that, but it doesn't mean that we need to necessarily follow suit, I don't think, because we don't have to rely upon the office necessarily. We can do a lot of stuff remotely. We covered the Zoom training, or the Zoom utilization, our .loop, everything like that we can do remotely, where we're going to get into trouble. And I've talked about this with a lot of everybody here, but I just want to kind of touch on it here then too. I've talked with Mark Bunning, I've talked with Lori, I've not talked with First American, but I imagine a lot of these guys will still work with us to get things done as best they can. I've had more conversations with Mark than anybody, but as long as the county buildings remain open, more importantly, the recorder's office stays open and functioning, whether it's open to the public or not, doesn't make any difference. As long as they're recording, it's pretty much business as usual, as long as the banks will still fund. If they do actually close, where they're no longer taking anything in, they're working on, I know First American can do like the e-filing. Mark's working on it right now to get himself approved to do the e-filing. I forgot to ask Lori if she could do it. I think she can. So that what that does is that sets up all the documents to go in the queue to be stamped straight away then. So as you all know, when we sell a property, seller signs the deed gets to the county recorders. And what they're trying to do is get that document, the deed, recorded prior to any other new liens, encumbrances, clouds on title to come in. So if they can do the e-file, that will put it in line, put it in the queue to get ahead of a lot of that stuff. Again, is all predicated on the banks actually still funding. So we'll cross that bridge as we get to. As of right now, it's still business as usual. We're essential service. But if that isn't the case going forward here, I think we can still work around that for quite some time. I don't think we're going to be out of business anytime soon. Hopefully anyways then. So anybody got any questions on that so far?
Any questions for you?
Yes, sir.
Is it worthwhile for us to have a copy of that page?
Like this whole deal with you?
Yeah, to carry with us.
I've been carrying one with me since it's come out there. I'm going to share the link with everybody, but at least just keep the link with you. Yep. You just say, hey buddy, 12U, go 12U yourself. That's all you got to say. And then that should have you covered. But in all seriousness, I mean, a lot of the people are taking this, I joke about it, but, we are taking it seriously. Every day we try to clean everything, all the high touch points. We're doing our best to try to help mitigate the spread that we can control anyways. But like we talked in the office the other day, everybody going to the store and touching everything under the sun and bringing it home, it's still pretty much, if it's going to get around, it's going to get around.
What about like, I just don't see a sense of urgency to be necessarily taking listings as much in the next 2 weeks, because we are in this lockdown. Even though we are an essential business, it still requires us as professionals to use common sense.
Absolutely.
So I would not think it would be wise to put a hot new listing out there that's going to draw a lot of traffic, especially if it's an occupied home, versus doing a coming soon because of the coronavirus.
Corona coming soon.
Encourage your people that are wanting to list properties to do the things that they can be doing while they're quarantined, like cleaning out closets, decluttering, getting stuff ready for Goodwill, fresh painting a room, whatever, doing that kind of stuff that they can do versus doing something that's going to create traffic and question.
No, for sure. And I think Tom's, I don't know if you can hear him or not, but again, yeah, I agree. It's on both sides there. I think that would be a good way to go about it. But then also, you got to do what your client wants to do then as well. If they're ready to roll, they don't care. They're ready to get property up and running. Then I think, I don't know what else you can do. I mean, if you're not saying you can, but if an agent is not willing and able to do it right now or willing to do it right now, then, if that client wants the property on the market, I think we need to abide by that as much as we can. But yeah,
Well,
with all the craziness, yeah, it might be better to wait that, or like you said, do a coming soon possibly, but I think it's up to them.
well, I just think more people have a little bit more common sense and are not thinking like, I got to get my house on the market while everybody's home.
Yeah.
Vacant things are completely different. But if I had my house listed and I had my family, at home, I would not want the public coming through my house.
Why not do, if you do list it, why not do no showings till
Yeah, I've seen,
April 9th?
yeah, that's several showings come up, or several listings come up that it says something like that, where it says, no showing for, yeah, that time frame, I think.
Because it'll still stir the pot and people interested in what's to come, although I do understand where she's coming from 100%.
Well, coming soon benefits you because you get the activity right now, and when it goes active, then it throws up as active.
Mute your time and move up here. Maybe we'll just pick up everybody's sound then. Yeah, so I don't know if there's any one right or wrong way to go about it. Like, to your point, Janet, I think it is smart to use as much common sense as we can, but taking property be one thing, but if I didn't have my kids at home, I wouldn't care if somebody went and showed my house, I guess. But I mean, that's up to the individual. So, but I guess that's just something we need to make as a personal decision, as of whether or not we are willing and or able to personally work with that, or if our clients are willing to work with the current situation. So I'm not going to ask anybody to do anything they're not comfortable doing. If anybody needs help with anything, I'm more than willing to help. I think we all work together as a team well enough that we can help each other. And again, I always talk about technology, but I really do think like the Matterport would be a really big thing right now. Is somebody going to buy a house without actually setting foot in it? Probably not, but you might be able to still get a good amount of traffic, maybe even more traffic than normal with the Matterport, with that, and then that could be accompanied with a coming soon as well. So we can host that from our website, or showcase it from our website with the coming soon side of it, and have that public facing. Unlike the MLS, you cannot have public facing, but we can do that from our website if need be. All right, so yeah, I guess just get familiar with this directive here, stay-at-home order. Honestly, I don't even know what has to close. There are so many exceptions to this thing, other than just optional retail and public gathering things. I really don't know what's closed, because
Phone store close, like Verizon?
I think those are all considered communication, you know what I mean? Like, as far as, so I think that would be considered an essential service. But like your Jeffrey Jewelries of the world, unfortunately, that isn't a necessity. So they have to close, the gyms, all the stuff we're all familiar with. But car lots are essential somehow, you know what I mean? We all need transportation, mass.
Anything in the transportation department. I talked to Brad Lonsway last night, and he said at first they were just going to do parts and service were open, but then they realized that you could be driving, your transmission could go out.
Yep.
It's more beneficial to buy a new car. You could total a car like I did and need a vehicle to drive. So transportation had to keep open. But like Bear Brothers, they had to close. Simply
Yep.
Susan would have to close. Anything. Frameworks.
But like Lowe's is open?
Yeah, Lowe's is open as part of manufacturing, so that part, well.
And hardware. Hardware's the
Hardware,
largest
yep.
open.
Stores that sell grocery and medicine, food and beverage and agriculture, organizations that provide charitable and social services, religious entities, media, this newspaper, television, radio, other media services, First Amendment protected speech, which I don't know how that's a business, but I guess it is. Gas stations and businesses needed for transportation. So your, stations, auto supply, repair, financial and insurance institutions, hardware and supply stores, critical trades. And this is where it gets into, building, construction, tradesmen or women, exterminators, cleaning, janitorial, anything, relocation services, moving. Angie had a question about moving services. Mail, shipping, so UPS, the post office, FedEx, educational institutions, as long as it's for facilitating distance learning. Again, they've specified this order is consistent with the already standing order of schools being closed. Laundry services, restaurants for consumption off premise. So as long as they're not eating in house there, a restaurant can stay open, remain open, whether it was designed for that in the first place. Supplies from home, businesses that sell, manufacture supply products needed for people to work from home. Supplies for essential businesses in operation. So any business that sell, manufacture, supply if you supply another essential business or operation, so all the other businesses that supply Whirlpool and the car manufacturers and all them can stay open.
I did see Tiffin Metal Products said they were going to be closed this week,
Yeah,
and they're preparing for how they're going to move forward. They're not closed.
yeah,
They chose to close this week.
just this week, yeah.
Just this week, and they're cleaning and detailing and figuring out how they're going to move forward with the distancing and everything else.
Yeah,
But that they'll be back open next week.
yeah,
So they didn't lay anybody off. They just took a week of pause
just to
figure out
get their
the
head
process
straight with that,
moving
yeah.
forward.
Did they? National? So transportation, home-based care and services, residential facilities and shelter, professional services, this is us, that's section U, manufactured distribution, critical labor, hotels, motels, funeral services. It goes on, I think it's any, so I don't know how they control that then too, if you have a funeral or a wedding or whatever. Yeah, it's all considered essential, I guess, so. So to what Tom was saying, I think a lot of businesses are just trying to figure out how they're going to accommodate that. I was at Kroger's last night and was it Lisa? I can't think who was up. Instead of them having the wipes at the carts, she was out there literally spraying down every cart, wiping them down and shoving them out front then so everybody could have that. At Chipotle, they had tape on the floor, keep everybody 6 feet away. Rural King, same thing. They had a thing set up where you could stay so far away in every aisle, I guess. So post office did the same thing.
Subway did that yesterday. There was like tables jammed up against the windows where you would go
To keep you
order
away
something
from
and
that.
shoot back.
Okay. All right. So I'm not going to go on for 10 years about this here. It's all in front of you. You guys can read through it. I encourage you to read through it. It's a riveting read, I'll tell you. So yeah, pretty much. But I mean, it would be worth going through, but at least for the time being, we're good to go. So what we can do at this time, connect with our sphere. We've talked with that. There are a lot of people that are very nervous, very anxious. They're not sure what's going on. Not that any of us really know what's going on, but this is a time to step up and be a leader, be the rock that people need you to be. So, buyers themselves are already very emotional. They're already, on the fence with things on a good day. So you throw this into the mix, they're definitely going to need our expertise, our support, our knowledge to try to guide them through this. And as you brought up, Janet, there is no one way, there's no one policy that's going to suit every client. So I think we just need to find out what people need, give them their options, let them make the decision, whether it be for financial or safety or health reasons, let them come up with their idea. So connecting with them, you can call them, text them, email, and social media, whatever you want to do with that. So, and I'm worried again about everybody else in here then too, as far as for your work-life balance and time management and things. It is very easy to get caught up with everything that is changed now, whether that be in office or at home. Everybody's got their own mind about what they need to get done, whether it be, family or work or whatever. So I think it's important to try to keep some semblance of a schedule, some semblance of a balance. I know it is a lot harder. I find it a little more challenging with Kelly and the kids being home. I'm sure you do too, Carrie, for trying to figure that out. So it's just a matter of figuring life out right now. It is very easy for us to just get caught up in a lot of this and not, find a way through for a personal business. And then we're not going to be there effectively for our clients then either. So we've got to be able to try to maintain some sort of semblance of order in our personal lives and our work life to make that happen. So I heard, just to use a metaphor, there was so they were talking about an Indian tribe that used to, they'd go hunt. All the men would leave. They'd leave the women and children at home. The men would go out and hunt. They'd do their thing, hunt. They'd war with other tribes. They'd do all that kind of stuff. And then before they just come home, like what we do every day, we're out negotiating. We're out here trying to figure this stuff out. Before we come home or bring it home to our significant other or kids or dog, poor Pip or whatever, they would stop a mountain away from their family for a day and just sit there and kind of decompress, and they'd call it find their bridge to come home. So whatever that is, being able to find a way to, whether that's an affirmation or, a journaling or a song, a workout, whatever, just find a way to bring yourself back into where you're not in work mode, you're in family mode. And it's especially hard with us where we're working from home and doing a lot of that stuff where you're on the phone with a client, you're trying to be professional, you're trying to not be emotional about it. And then you got to come back. And I find myself doing that with Kelly or the kids or whatever. I try to turn my emotion off as much as possible when I'm dealing with a client. I use the metaphor all the time, move the ball forward. So when I'm turning around dealing with the kids and wife, it is hard to, just be logical and numeric and do whatever, where there are more emotions and feelings involved. So we got to be able to, especially now, find that bridge, be able to turn it on and off as best we can, to best serve our clients and then to be able to keep life as whatever our normal is now. So that's about all I got here at the moment, folks. So any questions, concerns about anything? I mean, we're doing everything we can to try to keep everything in order here. We've had a couple things we've had to, challenges within the office we're trying to work through and button up. We are human. We do everything we can to try to keep everything, I's dotted, T's crossed as we can, but it's inevitable. We're all busy. We have a busy office. Everybody has a lot of irons in the fire, so things will fall through the cracks. So if everybody can work with us to get through things, if you guys see an issue with something, bring it to my attention, and I don't care what it is, and we'll do our best to work for it. I'm not going to promise everything's going to be fixed immediately or right on the spot. Not to boohoo poor Bill, but you know what I mean. I always want to be there for you guys as much as I can, but there is a lot of stuff that comes across my plate then too. So if I don't get back to you instantaneously, I do my best to try to get back to everybody quick. But there are a lot of things to juggle, just like with everybody else. So, but I'm going to try to be there. If there's something I can't fix or adjust, I will certainly let you know that's something we can't do right this second. But I'll take everybody's thoughts and concerns into consideration and try to get it done. So, I don't know, crazy times we're living in, but we'll get through it. Anybody else got anything to add with coronavirus, the stay-at-home order, Indians on the mountain? I like that metaphor. It was they took an entire day, 24 hours. They'd start a fire when they got to their mountain, so the wives and kids knew that they were alive and they're safe and they're a mountain over. And then they'd spend a whole day being crazy guys, I guess, and kind of decompressing and coming back. And then they'd start a different color fire, a more smoke-filled fire. So the wife and kids knew that they were coming home and they were themselves.
We all know that what you're really getting at is they started happy hour. They were smoking the peace pipe.
Probably.
They weren't just kumbaya. They were tying one on before they had to go back to responsibility.
Yeah. Well, it's like when you're in the heat of a negotiation, you're trying to get it done, and then the kids come up and you're like, what? I'm 100,000. Yeah. So that's it. I don't know. We'll keep chugging along here. Not anything else. Tom, Carrie, Janet, I don't know if anybody else is on.
Well, you've had a very soothing voice, I guess, because all three of my dogs are completely asleep.
Good. I usually put people to sleep. I'm good at that. So, Pip, you want a treat?
Stop it. Gotta go now.